Meeting of the ZBA, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone. And our first item tonight is...
Stephen Pelletier of 11 Beacon Road, Scituate, Mass. Requests a special permit finding and pursuant to MGL Chapter 40A, Section 6, and/or Section 810.2 and Section 476F of the Scituate zoning bylaw and/or relief that the Board of Appeals deems necessary to allow the construction of an addition to the pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling at 11 Beacon Road, Scituate. Assessors map 46, block 8, parcel 30, increasing the gross floor area by more than 20%.
Sure, come on up. And
So, 20 by 34.
Yep, just state your name and address.
Steve Pelletier, 11 Beacon Road.
All right, and then you just tell us a little bit about your project and...
Okay. It's going to be a garage on the first floor. Second floor is a 20 by 34 master suite, bedroom, bathroom, and closet. That's about it. The issue, I guess, is that my original house, built in 1961, is not conforming to the front setback by 2 feet. But my question is, we're a private way, and my understanding with the private way is that we own halfway into the street. Is that correct?
Arguably, you own to the midpoint of the road. However, for setback purposes, you use the roadway layout to
Right.
the edge of the dwelling.
Okay. So, you know, my addition is going to be conforming because I set it back, but the house, you know, misses by, on one corner, actually, it's tilted a little. So one side is good,
One side is...
the other side is just
It's
about
not
2
quite
feet.
parallel to the street.
Right, exactly.
0.2 feet.
A little quicker.
Tom, any questions?
You're not creating any new encroachments. You're not intensifying the existing encroachment. You are merely putting a conforming addition onto your non-conforming structure.
Yes,
Thank you.
In a conforming lot.
On a conforming lot.
yes.
And you're on town sewer, so we don't...
Yes.
Okay. Is any other...
I got nothing.
No, it's pretty straightforward.
Yep.
We have to now linger a while and page through because we can't do this quickly.
Right.
It would qualify as a record-setting pace, and we don't want anyone to
You can't
feel-
keep up with that.
Many important things to consider.
Therefore,
Yeah.
To be determined.
Bob, did you have any comments? No. All right. Anyone from the audience? Okay. Do we want to, is it in the floodplain?
Do we even have
It
to,
is, well, it's 470.6F.
Yeah, so we're going to have to just go through
Yeah.
that criteria too. If someone wants to put together a motion.
Motion that the board find on the application of Stephen Pelletier for the property at 11 Beacon Road, that the board find that the proposed addition does not create any new nonconformities, and that to the extent it intensifies any existing nonconformities, that such intensifications are not substantially more detrimental to the surrounding neighborhood. Further, that the board finds that the proposed addition meets the requirements of Section 470.6F. Such improvements will be built within the requirements of the National Flood Insurance Program, the State Building Code. Any improvements will not affect the natural drainage patterns of the watercourse.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You have, thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
for your time.
Appreciate it.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
That leaves us to our, or leads us to our second applicant this evening, which is...
I'll do that. I'll do that one.
Okay.
There you go. The decision. You can
I-
read.
yeah.
Yeah, you got it.
No, I got it, okay. So name, to Matt, I hope I'm not crucifying that name, of 55 Greenfield Lane, Scituate, Mass. Requests a special permit finding in accordance with MGL Chapter 40A, Section 6, and/or Section 810.2 of the Scituate zoning bylaw and/or relief that the Board of Appeals may grant to raise and reconstruct pre-existing non-conforming building at 55 Greenfield Lane, Scituate, Mass. Assessors map 54, block 1, parcel 17.
Slow down, slow down.
Everyone's got Christmas shopping to do.
That's right.
I'm Paulette O'Connell from Oco Architecture, here on behalf of Sylvania Bay of 55 Greenfield Lane.
All right.
As we mentioned in the introduction, so there's a small one-story, one-car garage that encroaches 24.6 feet from the property line. It's a corner lot, so both Torrey's Lane and Greenfield Lane should have a 30-foot setback. So this is sitting within the front yard setback at Torrey's Lane. We want to remove that garage and put a two-story garage with a walk-up attic. It'll be sort of a semi-detached, connected with a walkway covering, but it'll be open to the elements. We are pushing that back just slightly, about 1.6 feet back, so it'll be the pre-existing the new nonconformity will be less than the existing nonconformity at 26.2 feet. The existing garage encroaches about 70 square feet, and we had made a cognizant effort to make sure that the new garage doesn't encroach any more than the 70 square feet that the existing does, and I sort of have that outlined here. You can see like the orange is the new, the orange is the existing and the green will be the new. Their existing home, we're trying to attach it somewhat, but there's an existing screen and porch in the rear that we want to retain, so we were trying to keep the foundation away about 6 feet so that we didn't undermine the existing that we're trying to keep there. And the rear of the lot, or I guess it's the side yard, abutting on Torrey's Lane, and we're trying to leave enough room there so that we could actually park a third car, and then the grade goes up very, very high, and I have some photographs of that if necessary. So we were trying to retain all the foliage, some existing gardening, retaining walls and things like that along the rear of the property line, abutting the neighbor. So that is sort of where we came up with this proposed footprint, sort of trying to minimize the three sides, the existing home, the rear grading, and the setback along Torrey's Lane.
And again, you're on town sewer there as well, so,
No, he's on a septic. It's
Septic.
on the other side of the home.
It's in the front of the house.
okay, so,
Isn't it?
I think it's the side.
Yes,
It's on
septic is at the opposite side of the lot.
the other side, so it's abutting the
Greenfield
neighbor on
Lane.
Greenfield Lane.
Yeah,
It's sort of
okay.
in this direction.
so, all right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's existing nonconformity. The new garage will be over 20% of the existing square footage, so we're here to see what.
Are setbacks right on this plan? The building envelope?
Yeah, because of the,
frontage of
it's a corner lot.
Torrey's Lane, and so you
And
get two
are-
frontages.
They have two front yard setbacks they have to comply
Should that be 20 in R3?
with. This
Or no?
is the,
Corner lot.
It's R
the corner lot. They
Two.
have that, they use the radius.
Yeah, but it should be a 20, not a 30. That is a 20. Oh.
Right, in R3? It should be
Yeah.
20, right?
I think it is a 20, but it's labeled a 30.
Let me see.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's about an inch.
Okay, so it's
mislabeled.
it's just relabeled wrong. Okay, that's what was throwing me.
You see what we're saying, the
Yep.
arc?
Corner.
The arc
Yep.
Yep.
is labeled incorrectly.
No, not a big deal.
But it should
We're
be-
not affecting
But we
that
can
area.
make that change.
We'll change it in permitting.
Now, the square footage increase, you're only adding a garage, correct?
Well, it's a two-story garage.
It's a two-story garage, so right now we're not finishing the second floor, but it is a
It's going to turn
walk-up.
into a
It has
guest house.
potential for, okay.
Welcome to mine it.
All right. So we have to consider the increase of the second story, but not the garage.
It's okay, the second story is about 500 and
So again, I
plus or
think-
minus square feet.
I think your calculation of 24% increase.
The garage
includes
doesn't
the
count?
garage Itself, which we wouldn't factor.
Wouldn't be
in.
living space.
Right.
Okay.
Not considered part of the living area.
Since we weren't finishing it, I just counted it all, so yeah.
The calculation should be just living space,
Okay.
increase in living space. So even if it were finished on the second floor, that would be living space. The garage itself is not
Is the stair included?
living
Living.
space.
Okay. So it's about 540 square feet approximately, if I recall correctly.
Threshold there,
The 20%?
the 20%. You don't have to worry about it.
Correct, if it's 300,
Yeah.
it's
I mean,
3,000.
should we look into granting that for the future? If they decide to change the upstairs?
The existing dwelling
Well,
is
that's-
2290,
Yeah.
and the second floor
I believe it's
livable
about
of the garage
540, if I wrote it down earlier, but I don't
will
think I
be
have that.
540 square feet.
I'm guesstimating.
Yeah,
It's
but
going
yes.
to turn into living area.
I think we should consider that now in granting the,
Yeah.
rather than have them come
Yeah.
back.
Otherwise, they have to
Wrote the
come back
garage
if they
estimate,
finish
did
it
I
later,
write that
right?
down?
Yeah.
Yeah, and my only gripe with this is that I just want to see him pull it back to the, pull it back another couple of feet so it complies with the setback.
Well,
I know it's
Three-
tough.
they
we were
already
just-
violate the setback. They're going to violate it less.
No, if you go back 3.5 feet,
They're, the encroachment
Then we'll have
would
to
be
rebuild the
less,
existing
but they're adding a second story.
porch. We were trying to keep it far enough away so that we didn't have to do
Second
anything with the
story.
porch and keep the foundation
You have
intact.
concerns about the extent of
Sorry.
the intensification.
Yeah, it's kind of
Okay.
it's a gut feeling.
Okay.
I just think they should, while they're demolishing everything and pouring a new, this is the opportunity to make that conform.
Right. And I think they've expressed that moving it back that 3 feet then interferes with the rest of that side of the home.
It doesn't render the property uninhabitable.
You feel that the intensification is too much?
Part of the challenge I think you might have is, as with the last one that came forward, you would then have a 3.8 foot encroachment, and someone could look to do an addition on the side of the main dwelling, adding 5-6 feet and getting that 3.8 encroachment, and it's not increasing it's not intensifying it because it already exists as an encroachment on that side lot. I think there's something legitimate there, unless there's a compelling reason not to pull it back.
Sorry, I didn't follow you.
If we approve this,
Right.
we've got a continuing nonconformity. Someone in the future could come forward and look to extend the nonconformity in the main structure, or that structure comes down and the new structure is nested closer to the Torrey's Lane, maintaining the existing nonconformity that comes after this.
You mean bringing someone could come seek to bring the house out to 26.2
Into the
feet?
setback in the same way that,
So to only set it back 26.2 from Torrey's?
yeah.
Right, but if we don't approve this, someone could come and seek to,
24.
I
Stays
under-
within the envelope, though. It stays within the building.
Well, I
permits.
mean, now they could conceivably take the house and move it to 24. Right. You know what I mean?
well, right.
That would be an
And-
intensification, but.
Well, right, where
And
they're
the
decreasing,
garage, the existing garage is not part of the
Well,
dwelling, so
it's not attached.
it's not attached, it's not part of the dwelling, so the nonconformity doesn't carry the grandfathering that it would if it was attached, right?
Well, it's an accessory dwelling, I mean, and it's going to be attached. Eventually, it's going to be attached, the house is going to connect to that second floor. It's going to become living area, I mean, it's just what we see.
Creep.
Yeah, we see it all the time.
well, but not so much a creep because they're moving it back. That's the difference here. They're,
Yeah, and-
But why
and-
not move it back to the,
Yeah, my argument is, while we have the opportunity, while they're in front of us, have them make it conforming, and it's less of an issue down the road.
Well, part of it was the backyard, like I said, it all slopes up so much, so every time you push it back, the whole backyard, it's sort of getting itself rendered useless, and we're losing a lot of the existing retaining walls. So we were trying to sort of split the baby, sort of, you know what I'm saying? That kind of,
right.
yeah. So we were trying to reduce
And not
the,
get a smaller yard.
yeah, we're trying to
You'd almost
reduce,
have to move it back 6 feet from the existing. Because if we're at, I mean, because the lot line kind of slopes back as you go further towards the back of the property too, so it doesn't,
Yeah, the property line isn't actually the line of the road. Torrey's Lane is much narrower.
What was the comment you had indicated about the foundations and the integrity?
So there's there's an existing screen and porch we want to retain, and it's retain it as it is. So we're about 6 feet away from the corner of that existing
So if you moved it
screen
back...
porch. We have 3 feet, then we'll only be 3 feet away from the existing foundation of that screen porch. So you're,
But
I mean, it's not inconceivable, but we were just trying to keep it, as intact as possible during the construction process.
But your existing screen and porch doesn't appear to have a poured foundation, it's on pile.
No, we're just trying to keep some distance away from it for construction viability, so we're not squeezing by at those 6 feet.
Again,
But that
the only
it was really just more,
The compelling reason to not make it conform is really that distance from the existing deck.
yes.
And it's really the deck.
And the slopes on the other
not
side.
the screen porch, because you're still going to be the width of the deck from the screen porch.
Brian, what if we were to take the intensification and maybe lessen it more? Like put it into the 27?
Well, I mean...
I'm just saying...
You're in for a penny, you're in for a pound. I mean, either leave it as they have applied for, if that's the direction of the board, or, in my opinion, it should just be pulled back. It's not the end of the world. I don't want to belabor it. I mean, it's just, I'm thinking, while they're here, just pull it back another few feet. But, it's not, I'm familiar with the area. It's not like we're dealing with, say, a Lighthouse Point situation where the homes are super close with each other. Torrey's Lane is a very narrow street. It's a horseshoe-shaped street. A portion of it's dirt, I believe.
I believe so, too.
So, I mean, it's not, again, it's not going to be the end of the world, but from my experience, when you see a garage turned into a 2-story structure, it turns into living area. You get that, and that's why we have setbacks.
I totally hear you. The standard is an intensification, is it substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood? Let's call it an intensification, the garage is bigger.
Yes.
Now, that's open to the counter argument that the garage is getting further back, but let's call it an intensification. I think you just said that it's not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. I don't think it's substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. I think it meets the standard for approval.
Have you got a elevation of or a picture of the proposed garage? The front of it, is it straight
The
up?
side is Torrey's Lane.
Yeah, or does it step up, or, so it's a dormer there, so actually the second floor is set back.
It stepped back, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So that's,
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Right.
even less of an intensification of the living area, so that might be also something to consider. I don't know how far you think that might be stepped back, if you have the plan.
Don't have the second floor plan with me, I apologize.
Probably 3 feet.
Likely.
So moving the building back another foot and the 3 feet of the step back there, your second floor is actually, I mean, we can really the second floor. If that's a living space. I know what you're trying to say, but that would, I mean, that step back would,
I'm just throwing that out.
Just about this.
And Anthony, I
Actually
don't
slide
disagree
down.
with that.
No, that's why there's 5 of us.
Yeah.
Talk this stuff out.
yeah, I mean, there's
Yeah.
some consideration to it.
Of course.
But also, we didn't have we didn't have this information to see what part of what the dormer,
Yeah.
The dormer is less, it kind of steps back on its own.
My concern is I just don't see the reason not to move it back. I haven't been given a reason why it has to continue to encroach.
Well, you've given a reason. You may argue you've not been given a compelling reason, but you've been given a reason.
Well, the reason given was not compelling, and I actually don't agree with it. I challenge that it, again, because your existing deck is not a covered portion, the portion that you're going to be getting closer to is not covered. And then in addition to that, the whole screen porch, the roofed screen porch, is not on a poured foundation. It's knowing something about construction, and I see knowledge to my esteemed colleague, but I don't see the construction of it as being a terrible challenge of pouring a foundation.
She didn't mention, but if it was me, the further you move it back, the more yard you're giving up too. We're talking,
That's the
with
only
I did
with about
say that with
90
the-
running feet, we're talking about 6-7% of,
And considering most
Of
of
the
it
yard
is
width.
actually
they're also giving.
fairly steep hill that goes up, so the yard isn't as wide as it, like that 15-foot setback of the yard is unusable space.
I mean, the yard on the,
The backyard, well, the side that abuts the Karen Lynch's parcel.
the Lynch parcel.
Yeah.
Because it rises.
So it goes up to Lynch.
Yeah, actually, I have like a.
It slopes front to back.
So it looks
Yeah.
like that the existing deck does appear to be covered.
Yeah.
The porch,
No, the
screen and
porch is-
porches.
Screen is porch,
Right
but
here.
the deck in front of it is not.
This right here.
Yeah, you can kind of see the side, like
I
that's
got
the
you.
Lynch
Yeah.
property
Yeah, yeah,
where
yeah.
there's construction going on.
I got you.
So
Oh, yeah.
it just starts going up, but in the backyard, it's actually.
And there's a
further
fire
apart
pit.
porches.
You'd have to move the fire pit, right?
The existing patio and fire
You have to
pit,
move the fire pit.
That's what's, there's the.
existing garden, retaining walls, things like that, that's already out in the backyard.
I think of how we dealt with the one on
Joe.
Third Cliff, right across from Wilson on,
I'm struggling because we've allowed additions to homes to continue in a non-conforming setback for twice as many running feet as they were before. And here, it's a reduction.
But this is
Arguably, Anthony, the difference here is that we have the opportunity, because this is not in addition to a home, this is essentially new construction,
Right.
so it's a clean slate. That's, when
I-
I look
I
at that,
understand
that's
what
where,
you're
that's where
saying.
I'm coming from.
Because they're raising the existing garage.
Well, and if there were no garage here, it wouldn't even be coming before us.
Yeah, they wouldn't,
They would
they'd
be-
need a
they would-
variance.
They would need a variance to do what they're
Well,
asking to do.
yeah, but that's
But is the-
true of any non-conforming
Yeah.
structure.
But it's the garage is arguably a shed. I mean, it's not, I mean, this isn't, I don't mean to diminish the value of the garage, but the garage is an accessory building on the.
I understand.
Not
Yeah.
part of the dwelling,
But
and
it,
that's
Well,
different from an
and
addition to a dwelling.
so that,
That makes a lot more sense.
I think there was that one case on Jericho Road, down just before the lighthouse too, we had that same situation that they wanted to use the setbacks from the shed.
Right, and we didn't let them.
Right.
I remember that.
But that was truly a shed. It
That was a
was-
shed.
that was-
It wasn't even a garage.
it was a reach.
This is a little more, yeah.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
This is a little bit more substantial, the garage that's here now.
I would say that it helps to have the architectural drawing or rendering to see the appearance, which is, it's obvious, it's an attractive
Now,
garage and addition.
having said all that, I will also go to my initial reaction to this kind of an application. Because it's a corner lot, I generally have a much more lenient view toward encroachments on a side yard that is overly large because they're stuck with two front yard setbacks.
Right.
And especially where Torrey's Lane is currently and not likely to ever be improved to the state of being a three-lane highway with
Well, they can't,
access in the back.
in order to improve it to a public way, they'd have to build it to I think, have drainage like, almost like it's subdivision standards, which is not, they're not
gonna
capable
happen.
of doing it.
So this
It's
is,
going to remain unimproved.
so this will remain in the condition more or less as it is,
Yeah.
unless all the neighbors get together to agree to pay it.
Is there anybody here in favor of it or opposed to it?
Your sole
Well,
representative.
we're in favor.
Let's not beat a dead horse here.
Bob, do you have any comment on this, or?
My first reaction would be to agree with Brian and Ed's position, at least his early position in the discussion. From a design point of view, I don't know why you wouldn't take this opportunity to completely cure the setback encroachment. The conversation I've heard is that the land rises steeply and there's a constraint towards the Lynch parcel. We're not talking about going any farther towards the Lynch parcel.
Right.
We're simply pushing it, to the rear of the
To US Bank.
existing parcel away from Quarry Lane.
The heck with US Bank.
3.8 feet.
And
That's my personal opinion. Obviously, the board is.
We value your
I don't
opinion,
have a
Bob.
vote.
Do you have
But
an
the
input?
distinguishing.
You have influence,
the-
though.
But from my point, and distinguishing it as a garage rather than a house is valid. And I wasn't looking at it that way initially, but that is an important distinction.
I mean, could we restrict the second floor setback?
Does that work?
Nah, it's just,
Let's throw it out there.
let's not confuse the issue.
What's the
setback is
compelling
this.
reason? That's the
I
challenge.
think you're right. Either it's a big issue or it's not a big
Yeah,
issue.
let's not make a problem for Bob down the road, or Bob's successor, or whomever.
In many, many years.
Second floor. Right, well, I may not be here.
In many, many years, you're a successor.
There will be a successor, though.
It's just a bright line.
Is there a compelling reason not to move it back the 3.8 feet?
I think it's more of a design-wise, losing part of the backyard, you're gonna lose some light going in, from the backyard to there,
But you're gaining
It
all that
was-
living space that you're looking for.
yeah. In the future, yes. Trying not to rip up as much of the existing retaining walls that were put in a year ago. Just, there
Where
were
was the existing-
there were some reasons we came here. I mean, those are the reasons. They may not be, what you're looking for, but those essentially were the reasons. There's retaining walls along the existing line of the garage, against the Lynch property. So we're actually coming into it a little bit, so we're going to be ripping some of those up, but we were trying to retain as much as
But if you go
possible.
back,
Then we're going to be ripping, because if you carry the line of the existing garage over, that's where the retaining wall starts.
But you'll have heavy equipment there to do it.
And the existing garage is one story?
Yes.
do you have a picture with where the retaining wall?
I think on the
Is, you're right, there are some pictures.
back of the garage is on one of the photos.
There's no really, I don't see the retaining walls that you're concerned about.
So the,
It's just been landscaped last year, so that was kind of.
You went ahead and
These walls
changed my
here?
mind.
Yeah. I mean, they're just new, that's.
But you're gonna lose all of these anyway. The only one you'd be keeping was that one back
Well,
there.
we're cutting, this comes out a little bit, so we're trying to kind of go along with
So
the
they're not
line
wo-
of the existing. So we're gonna cut off some of it, but try to keep the rest of it. That was, like I said, we were trying to minimize
What's
things at
that?
every angle, so
If they
that's
move
why we
back,
pulled
we-
it back from the edge of the.
They move back, they don't have to be
garage.
here.
We tried
So-
to split a little bit of everything.
I,
That's kind of where
so
we're
I
the-
at.
recant some of my
see, I
earlier
thought that they were
positions.
stone wall, retaining walls.
Yeah.
It's the
If
gardens.
Yeah, they're
The
just-
gardens.
Yeah, that's all.
Kind of a shame.
Really installed that.
What you're gonna do is precedent to set.
You guys want to see this? That's the retaining, it's the
Basically,
the
they're gonna move
planters.
this way, and they would.
And move the
they don't
gardens.
want- They don't wanna lose plantings.
Yeah.
They were cemented, I mean,
So,
stone wall.
the reason we've been looking into not going too much back is because of due to that uneven terrain, pretty hilly at the back, the living area in the backyard is kind of limited already. Even though it could look big from an aerial view, the real flat place is pretty limited.
Yeah.
So we were looking, first we had been looking into keeping the front of the garage, which would be a large infringement. So now discussing with the architect, we tried to find kind of a solution where we do not lose too much backyard and we are not as much towards the street as we are now.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, you know it when you see the plan.
Yeah.
What we're trying to do.
I understand completely wanting to keep as much of the garage or as much of the yard space as you could. It makes perfect sense. It's what I'd want to do. But I have to say, my fellow board members have convinced me a little bit in looking at the plans of the garage, using the nonconformity of the garage in the form that it's in now to achieve a nonconformity for true living space, especially when there's the ability to not have that nonconformity, is a little bit more of a stretch than I initially thought.
With the Hatfield case, I think that specifically does not allow the existing of the non-conformity for the garage. It separates.
You
the
might
house
be
from
right.
the-
I'd have to go back and check, but
It kind of
yeah.
specifically says that for the house, yes. For the outbuilding or garage, no.
yeah, it's not so clear to me that this isn't somewhat of a new nonconformity.
Yeah.
Well, here's,
If it was
here's
attached,
another,
it'd
here's
be
another
different.
remedy. If
Yeah,
it was
that'd be
attached,
different.
that wouldn't be a problem. Here's another
There's
remedy.
already a garage
And
with a
I
second story.
appreciate where you're trying to come from, and I'm not trying to design your project, I hate doing that, but you're also keeping this
Sure. Nice
proposed
lines.
structure a
Lacrosse
good
thing.
distance from the existing dwelling with that proposed deck. If this proposed structure were nested in and attached to the house at this time, you'd have an attached garage, you'd lose the deck, but you'd gain your backyard. I mean, again, I recognize that there's a chimney there, but that could be encased in, and there's a
Probably a
bulkhead, but the
bulkhead.
bulkhead could be moved to access under the proposed structure. Relocate the bulkhead, attach the garage directly to the house. You've got the one small window above the bulkhead. And now you've got your two-story attached addition, and you don't have any encroachment issues at all, because I think by doing that, you'd basically be within the building area.
I think we still might encroach slightly, just because of the way that's angle comes in, if we keep the porch. If we get rid of the porch, it's a different story, so.
Oh, no, I mean, the enclosed porch, I think you could have, but I think at that point, you'd be looking at a de minimis,
property.
1 foot encroachment on the corner because of the fall-away of the lot, in which
This
case
plan.
I'd say that I understand, because the house
back
structure
here.
is set on a lot that falls away along that sideline, and you've got a 1 foot, that I'd have less of a concern with. I mean, basically,
you're
you'd be
saying.
telling me you needed to have that space in order to get a reasonable sized 2-car garage, and you can't do that without.
Attached, that's the
Well,
garage.
I think the other or problem that
They don't.
Ed's having is granting, where to grant the relief.
Could be, yeah.
We don't have anything to put it on because the garage isn't part of the building. If it was part of the building, we'd be able to put the relief in, but where we're all seem to be struggling is that the garage doesn't carry the same relief that the house would. So, something that, kind of, is that where you're coming from?
Yeah, that's what I'm feeling.
Yeah, I'm looking for a place to, but we've had instances where we haven't granted that relief to other people, so it'd be tough to put that forward to here now, so unless anyone has any
No, my
ideas.
suggestion was to
Is there,
come up with a better idea.
I think if you wanted to, I know it would mean you'd be extending this into another month, but if you were to go back and consult with your client for a modification of the design based on what you've heard here tonight, might be one approach you might like to consider. Because
So if it became connected and we couldn't fit that there, whatever encroachment, it'd be a different story because it'd be attached.
well, the thing is, the encroachment of the
Different.
accessory structure.
Yep. No, I understand what you're
carry-
saying.
doesn't
Carry as much
the
weight as yours.
weight. I
They
don't- I mean, I don't think
they
it's
could
small.
withdraw and and hypothetically get a building permit next week for a conforming, if it was conforming.
Because the lot's conforming and everything
Yeah.
else.
yeah, well, the size is
So,
setback.
that's something else to
But
consider.
if the concern is that you end up with a 1 foot.
Well, it depends,
They
depends.
could
on-
ask for an extension, withdraw before that meeting ever takes place.
Absolutely.
Right.
And get a permit.
That would
Absolutely.
be my suggestion, because I think if you
Okay.
continued it, you'd preserve your right to come back at the next hearing if, based on what your design scheme, there is some sort of de minimis relief maybe required, like Ed indicated, but in the event you do a new design scheme and you can get a
That
building
conforms
permit,
and
you
we go
can just
forward.
contact and just withdraw them.
Okay, then I would take that
Withdraw the
recommendation
application.
and ask for continuance.
Thank you.
Otherwise, you're going to go into February.
Yeah.
So we'll,
I
the
would
request,
Move to continue this to our next scheduled meeting in January.
Second,
No?
Yeah, I guess we could, yeah.
all those in favor?
Today's the deadline.
aye.
Aye.
We're
So
in.
the-
Well, a continuation doesn't need to be noticed in the same.
You don't have to renotice it.
Yeah.
The continuation,
Not-
yeah.
No, I know, not
Yeah.
to you, but.
And we've submitted, is this all right?
You can submit that as, yeah, part of that.
And then also,
You can submit that as well, yeah. Thank you.
thank you.
My attempt at jocularity, we really weren't trying to make this a really long one. Sometimes we have to look at it from a practical standpoint too. Not so much what you do, but what someone else might want to do.
No, I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And our third,
Third contestant on the Price is Right.
Peter Zaccardi of 37 Moreland Road, Scituate, Mass. Requests a special permit finding at 717 Country Way, Scituate, Mass. Pursuant to MGL Chapter 40, Section 6, and/or Section 8 of the zoning bylaw to construct additions and a garage to pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling at 717 Country Way, Scituate, Mass. Assessors map 12, block 3, parcel 2, increasing the gross floor area by more than 20%.
Hi guys, my name is James Garfield, here to represent Peter Zaccardi for the finding associated with the proposed addition plan at 717 Country Way. So the existing building on this lot is constructed in 1900 per the assessor's card, and it resides in the Residence R2 zoning district. It's currently non-conforming in regards to lot area, lot frontage, and lot width. And so as you can see, our proposed additions fully comply with the minimum setbacks to the property lines, and therefore we're not creating any new non-conformity. So with that, I'll leave it over to you guys.
And just is there a septic system?
Yes, there's a septic in the front yard.
Okay, all right, so you're gonna meet all the dimensional requirements to stay away from that as well? It's
Yep.
just not on here, so we have to ask. And driveway, is that gonna be extended down from the garage?
Yes, that's where the existing driveway lies right now.
I don't know if there's any other
Yeah, with they can't, the nonconformities, they can't change. It's
frontage, width, and area.
With an area, and that's,
Yeah.
everything else they're building within the building envelope. Setback envelope.
Bob, did you have any? Anyone from? Yes, just state,
Can we just see the plan?
yep, and then if you have any comments, you could just state your name and address and
Phil and Lisa Dunbar, 723 Country Way.
All right.
No, we're fine.
All right. Okay. The crawl space basement?
It's crawl space.
Yeah, it's a little wet back there? Or can be?
Actually, water comes off of the hill,
Yeah,
out of the Ellis Estate.
Yep.
And they, from what neighbors have told me, the road was changed going up to the Arts Association building, and I think in the future, I would like the town to look at them changing that back.
Good luck.
That is shedding water,
towards you?
yes, which wasn't before.
Wow.
So it's surface water. That's-
Yeah. Okay.
I think that request, while important to you, is probably very low on the list of priorities for the town of Scituate these days. So if you are concerned about water from the Ellis Estate going onto your land, I think the best advice would be to manage it yourselves. Because if you're waiting for the town, it's
Well, it's the road they have. That's the,
it's likely to never happen. I knew a gentleman that lived across the street, the late Myron Bullock, and he fought a 25-year war with the town over that issue, and
sure.
and donated thousands of hours to the town on the Conservation Commission and representing the Conservation Commission in court, and couldn't get the town to do anything. And it wasn't just one administration or one group of people, it was everybody. Nobody would do anything.
Sure.
So,
That was all part of my answer.
Do we have a motion?
Make a motion on the application of Peter Zaccardi for the property at 717 Country Way for a special permit and finding pursuant to Section 810.2 of the Scituate bylaws and Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 6. And the proposed addition, as on the plan of Morse Engineering, dated 11/15/2018, that the proposed addition doesn't create any new nonconformities. To the extent it intensifies, it's not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood.
Second.
All those in favor?
aye.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
I'll write that.
You sure? I was out for 2 months.
I get you back.
All right.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
This is spirit of goodwill.
That's right.
And now,
Cheer this time of year.
Fresh on the heels of their new extension. They slam us with this.
you said you weren't coming back forever.
Oh, my goodness, I'm shocked.
Back in June.
No,
May.
he said May.
We said, Matt.
We missed you guys.
We missed you, too.
Brian, I have a hello to say from Richard Sacchetti. I was with him today, and he told me to tell you hello.
Well, give Dick my best. He's a gentleman,
he's,
great guy.
He's doing, you guys almost killed him. Not yet, but almost.
You almost killed him.
There's still time.
Yeah.
It took us 20 years.
Yeah, I know. Believe me. And I'm only 50.
Now,
Look
Dick-
how I look.
Dick was not involved at the beginning. If he was involved at the beginning, this thing would have been very different.
Hallelujah. That's true.
So,
Mr. Allen, nice talking to you.
we need to, I guess, determine from the outset, maybe the substantial ability of this. Does it require more work? So I guess maybe if you could say,
Yes, sir.
kind of start where we are now, as it sits, and then what you want to do.
Fair enough.
Before he has a heart attack. Everybody gets involved in this project gets sick.
That's true. You don't wish that upon you.
You don't have to give people heart attacks to get extensions. We usually, ask.
I know the last time I thought I was going to have one.
Mr. Chairman, Michael O'Shaughnessy for the record. I'm an attorney with an office in Middleborough, Mass. To my left is Mark Palat of Dakota Partners. Before you is a request for a project change. As you folks are aware, this project's been kicking around for a long time. The latest form of the project that has been approved is for 74 for-sale units in 14 buildings. What we're asking the board to consider is allowing us to change the project to 38 buildings for a total of 68 units spread out over the site. We're also asking for you folks to consider this change because another component of it is the heights of the building will be reduced as well. This, you have this in your file. This was one of the renderings that you folks should have seen in the past. This is the 6-unit building. It's almost 3 stories high. It's pretty significant.
Yep.
That's it right there. We're seeking in our change to reduce it to the elevation that was contained in your sketch, something significantly smaller. The height of the buildings will decrease by about 6 feet. Right now, we're at 35, 36. This will go to between 28 and 30, so there's some assistance there. By making this change as well, it allows us to use the existing topography of the site, so we don't have so much earthwork, which is pretty good. I think under the original concept, there was 10,000 cubic yards of material that had to be moved. With our concept that is before you for consideration, we don't need to do that. That all stays in sight, and we basically balance our fills and cuts, so that's an improvement as well. The fourth change is there was a retaining wall behind buildings 1 through 5 on the original plan. And I apologize, I don't have full-size sheets. If you're looking at the half-size sheet, the retaining wall is behind the walls here. We're seeking to eliminate that retaining wall as well and just grade it down to the back of the units, the proposed units.
Why?
What's that gonna do with the drainage, though?
It improves the drainage overall. The retaining walls, obviously, it did a couple of things. One, it's the earthwork behind there and getting in towards where the wetlands were. It was encroaching upon that, so grading-wise, we're less obtrusive in that backside. Drainage-wise, it's all natural. So it's a natural grade, wise it's going into it. It's not being put into an underground system, being piped away, and when it gets to that wall and holding stuff back. So it's more in line to what is naturally coming out there.
So in speaking with the engineer, what he has indicated to me is that the system used for the townhouse units to account for the roof drain systems, it's a good system, it's a functional system, but when we break them up into these smaller houses, he can put in a more robust system that's able to infiltrate more water. So at the end of the day, if this goes forward, in my talks with the engineer, the stormwater design is actually improved. And our last request for the change was the phasing. Again, we phase it a little differently, and obviously we'd ask for you guys to approve that. But that's the long and short of our changes. Your job is to determine whether this change is substantial or insubstantial, and whether we need to have a public hearing. And you need to consider the factors and regulations. One of the factors that the DHCD considers substantial is an increase in more than 10% of the height of the buildings. We don't have that here. We're reducing it. Another factor to consider, are we increasing by more than 10% the number of units? We don't have that here as well. We're actually reducing it from 74 to 68. Are we reducing the size of the site, which may increase in a number of housing units being reduced? No, it's the same site that you guys have seen. And I failed to mention the roadway hasn't changed. The design of the septic system doesn't change. That all remains the same. Another factor to be considered is a change in the building type, and the regulations make reference to garden apartments, townhouses, high-rises. And the last one is a change in the form of housing tenure, from one form of the housing tenure to another. Is it switching from for sale to apartments? We're keeping it as for sale. To me, the conceptual changes that are before you right now, if I'm looking at it, we're really taking the big 6-unit building, multifamily building, and reducing it to a 2-unit building. I think that's consistent. I think the architecture is more in line with what I think you see in the town of Scituate. You folks are residences. I can't speak to that, but I can say with some confidence that the 6-unit structure is not typically around here. Just to keep the board informed, we just didn't do this on a lark. We met with the planning folks ahead of time before we put this request before you. We didn't see any resistance, but they said, give it to you guys, so that's why we're here. I'm asking for you folks to determine this is insubstantial. And
Yeah, just one other question too. So if we're going to 68 units, for sale units, is it 25% of that affordable?
yeah, it's still 25%.
So that would count, we'd count 25%
Right.
of 68 with 50, 16, 17
Whatever,
units.
yeah, right.
Whereas before, in the
Yeah.
rental scenario, 70.
It hasn't been a rental in a
Well, I
while.
mean, excuse me, so the 74%.
Didn't we make it a rental at one point?
Yeah.
It's been a
I was
rental.
gonna say, I understand, but that's what I wanted to get a
Little history.
clarification on, because this has been modified a couple of times.
So,
Couple.
so.
This year.
Mr. Sullivan was here at the beginning, I think. I
was too.
wasn't. And you were too. So I think it started out as a rental and a for-sale component, a rental apartment building and some single-family
Three
homes.
buildings were rental.
And then along the way, it changed again to all rental. And then it's some.
Again, when the economy changed,
Right.
in order to get your financing, you needed to
Right.
modify the form of ownership.
Right. Correct. And then it changed back to
Changed back.
the townhouses for sale. And now, again, we're not doing this on a whim, though.
No.
We think the
No, the idea is
duplexes
to
are-
build it.
It is to build it.
It's not just to see
No,
us.
no, yeah, well, as much as we like coming here,
And there's, is there any decrease in the asphalt?
No.
Overall there? That
No,
stays
the
same?
roadway
There'd be a-
stays the
There'd be a
same.
decrease in impervious surface.
Well,
because
yeah,
they're
with the
reducing number.
driveways, I mean, you're kind of going down,
Yeah, it's
well,
asking, I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't look, there'll be more driveways, the buildings get smaller, it's
Yeah,
probably more or
it's-
less a wash.
if you, yeah,
It's a
right,
wash.
right.
It's just the whole stormwater system is the same as before. The septic system's the same, road layouts are the same. It's just a matter of changing the footprint of the buildings.
Okay. And actually, the total footprint, is that about the same size? I mean,
Well,
I'd say it's slightly more.
I'd say it's slightly more. One of the plans we had submitted, we kind of superimposed the proposed over the new. And
Yeah.
again, by inspection, it looks like there's more white than black.
The black is the old,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and the outlines of the new.
they're just not as massive.
so I guess if you've got more surface area on the building, is that accounted for in your drainage calculations
Oh, yes.
too?
Yeah.
Stormwater?
Yes.
Well, right.
Well, that's what I just
It
have to
was,
ask.
right, yeah, oh, absolutely. The engineers factored all that in. So if this modification goes forward, we need to go back to DEP anyways, because they're in control of the wetland permits due that whole process. So we have to go get back and get a modification, support it with
vernal
drainage
pool back there
calcs.
too, right?
I believe so, it's off-site maybe.
No, it's
in the
right
back
at
corner.
it's in the back of the,
Oh, okay.
Buildings 11 as well.
Correct.
So,
And we've met with them already once in general terms, just to, and they're all, their point was in respect to the retaining wall being removed, they were in favor of that. Just they understood the benefits of getting that out of there, just from the disruption to the setback area and everything else. It just made it much more natural drainage.
where I'm coming from is, I'm not opposed to what they're doing, but I do see it as a substantial change. And I do think that there should be a public hearing on it. And I wrote a letter, we've got a guy whose job it is, he oversees all planning and development in Scituate, his name's Brad Washburn. I don't know if you've never seen him at a planning board meeting or a zoning board meeting. But his job is to oversee stuff like this. And he's not here. I wrote him a letter inviting him and asking him to weigh in on this, but
What is Brad's title?
I think
he's the
he,
Director of Community Development. We actually met with Brad before we came, before you folks. It was
But he wouldn't
Brad.
put anything in writing to me, so, he said he'd talk to me, but I wasn't able to make the time to meet with this Brad Washburn, but I'd like Brad to come to the meeting and share the thoughts that he shared with you, because that's his job, is to oversee projects like this. And I see this as a substantial change. We've been dealing with this for 20 years, and they're reducing the number of units by 10%, which of course reduces the number of affordable units by 2 units.
Yeah.
I
So,
think it's like 2.
you know, the neighbors may want to lynch us if we say we're opposed to the change because we want more affordable units, or, you know, they may want to hold a parade because we're getting more affordable units built. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear what Brad Washburn, the planning czar, has to say, though.
I think you made that clear, but,
Well, it's his job.
Well, I think.
Well, he's getting paid to do a job. It'd be nice to have him,
I agree with that. My concern, actually, I do think it is substantial. I'd love to be able to say it isn't, because I don't really want to see a whole lot more meetings on, you know, I don't think it has to blow up in anything outrageous, but I do think the public deserves to be aware in a notified way as to what's going on. The village common is going to be reduced in size in this new plan, because there are 3 structures that are going to be placed there that aren't currently there. And I recall the village common was a big issue in our public hearing at one point.
it's the whole recreation thing.
Which I
Whether
could
or not to
never
be a bocce field or
understand,
a,
because it's a
gazebo.
butters, they won't have a right to use the the common anyway.
But it had to do with the aesthetic and
Yeah.
they are the public, and they do have the input. And
How much closer are the buildings in the northern corner there getting to the setback?
It's about feet at the most. I mean, it's not a lot. There's one building here that is towards the end there, that looks like it's, I want to say about 10 feet.
Anthony, if you've ever been
Yes.
back there, this is Wheeler Park, this is elderly housing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I mean, those, you can kind of see very faintly.
Yep,
They'll be kind of close to some of the,
Yep.
And that whole back area gets fencing as well. It's all
Right.
part of the original,
Yeah.
it hasn't changed.
yeah, I'm having trouble with the same as Ed, seeing it as, you know, not that I don't agree with the changes.
Yeah.
And there, but it's just, it being substantial. Not, again, not that it isn't a positive, isn't a move in the right direction, but it's just, I think as far as the public input, and giving them a shot at, you know, say, yep, I mean, we've been going through these changes and have had so many over the years, that I think we need to give the public a chance to say, you know, have their input. It's not a matter of, you know, change your paint color here, we're, you know.
Or even
Ed's point was-
deleting one building or moving one building, the footprint of every single building is different.
Make it work, yeah. I'm not in agreement with you, that's for sure, but
No, I understand.
at the end of the day, I'm trying to make this thing more in line with the neighborhood. Building
Yeah, and we agree with you.
texture, all that.
We're not disagreeing with you.
I love the changes.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
can't say that it's
We're-
not substantial with a straight face.
I'm just concerned about timing, as you guys were very much concerned about timing, and last time you gave me 3 months.
Yeah, and that was one of the reasons last meeting we suggested that it was probably going to be a substantial change if we talk about it first, but before, you know, we move forward, so we thought that we might start to put that.
I had to get that out of the way first,
I know.
unfortunately. That's the problem, but the next step is actually getting this thing built, and my goal is to get this thing going come March, you know, to start getting going.
yeah, we'll do
having
our
a heart
best,
attack.
we'll do our
That's
best
not gonna
not
be
to
the
hold
case.
you up.
But, you know,
The economy turns.
yeah, it just,
Then we'll be back.
if it comes as a major, there's just no way I can get going, that's for sure.
So the representations that were made by Dakota at one point in time was targeting spring 2019 or spring 2020 to get this done, and that's what we had said to you last time we're here, and that's what we're trying to do, keep this moving along.
Ideally.
Yeah, absolutely, ideally, that's the goal.
so what's our timeframe? Do we need 60 days before we can have the?
Oh, no, I think we
do
can
it
do it
in
in
January.
January.
You have 30 days to hold the next hearing.
Yeah.
If you deem it substantial for the reasons in the regulations.
And if we can get, if we have any concerns that we might raise now,
Yeah.
that the applicant could be aware of.
100%.
Presenting, then we should be able to handle it, I would think, in a day. In a meeting, one meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like, you know, one of the things, the information on the retaining wall, what you presented us makes sense. We could have some, information on that,
Back up on
If
that.
you're gonna say
the-
it's a
the-
minor, I'll leave that retaining wall in. tell you the truth.
No,
I'm not.
no, just,
no, I think it's, I think
I
the
don't
positive,
think we can go to the, I don't think I can go to the minor personally.
Yeah.
I just don't, I'd like to be able to, but I don't think I can.
but we're just trying to give you what information we need there to help to keep this down to one meeting.
The pre and post drainage information, the pre and post,
Building
change.
area, if you will.
Yeah, all of that. Impervious surface area, asphalt area,
The usual
Just
stuff.
to.
yeah.
Just to
I mean,
Drainage
It
calculation.
would be in a chart. It
I mean,
doesn't-
for
Oh, yeah,
me,
the chart, right, yeah.
Yeah.
for me,
piece of
if,
paper.
if I had a paragraph from the engineer saying that the net changes is in impervious surface, well, it's accounted for in the drainage plan, then I wouldn't even be looking to get into each of that number by number. That's the ultimate goal that I want to know.
As it stands right now, it's better, to tell you the truth.
Well, so, great,
And
great.
I'd be happy to get that for you. I do have a copy here of his comments.
Yeah, but, and I think,
Besides the point.
yeah.
Yeah.
Again, that we don't want to send you back to get any new information at that hearing. If it isn't raised by the public at that hearing, we've been at this a long time, so.
I heard you last time, for sure, and believe me, I want to get this done as much as you do.
My thought is, or my question, or you raised it, but there seems to be a discrepancy on the, between the old plan and the new plan when you're superimposing. Under, I think it's listed as building 31 in the corner there of Atlantic and Sandy Hill Circle. There seems to be a building on the double superimposed that's not in the color. On the one you got in your hand.
Versus this.
Oh, yeah, they had that little clubhouse there.
That was a clubhouse?
I believe that was a clubhouse.
Right,
And could've-
that was
could've just been
eliminated during
over-
one of the hearings.
Okay, that was admitted, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, just. That's the
Utility
kind of
bill.
question
That's a good
when it
catch. I
comes
never
up,
noticed
what
that.
is it, what is it, so we're not.
Right.
Yeah,
Right, it would have been right here.
yeah, right in that corner there.
Mr. Chairman, through you to all the members, stylistically, with some of the renderings you've seen tonight, I'm not asking you to approve it, but we're heading in the right direction for some of these.
Not the color.
No, I mean,
This is-
I'm
Yeah,
not
this
gonna-
is-
the red is a little,
It's too strong for this neighborhood, to tell you the truth. This is more of a woodsy type color. That should be- Correct, correct.
No, I mean, not that we
this
want
isn't
to.
bad.
No, it's not bad.
This isn't bad. For a building that size, I think that's attractive.
Oh, don't disagree, but it is a massive building.
It's a big building.
It is.
It's a big building.
It is big.
Height, massing wise.
But you've got a lot of, gables, and there's a lot going on with the roof lines that I think break it up visually and make it more attractive.
But as you know, from a marketing standpoint and from a sales standpoint, that building did well on the ends.
Yeah, the middle units
It
are.
was tough.
Yeah,
It was very tough. That's why part of the shift
yeah.
was, okay, let's get something that is more in line.
Yeah.
Both from a marketing standpoint and from a neighborhood.
Right. The buildings going from like sprinkler to non-sprinkler?
I'd have to check with that. Right now, that's,
Yeah, the six-unit building would have,
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, as I say, with,
What saves someplace, goes someplace else, as always happens.
but I mean, that might be something, to briefly at least acknowledge from the fire department, just,
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting a statement from the fire
It used to be that
department
we get a
would help.
letter from the traffic rules and regulations, we get a letter from the DPW, we get a letter from the fire chief, letter from Concom, and something from the town planner about, these are, I reviewed the filing, and these are my thoughts, or these are the concerns that our committee has.
that might be something that we could, have for the next meeting.
Yeah.
Just
Well, right, that's why we had our meeting a few weeks ago to try to generate some of that stuff
Yeah,
tonight, but so we can,
so if we have that information, save us.
fair enough.
Hopefully Brad was
Again,
busy.
our goal, like yours, would be to, if we keep this down to one meeting, to
Keep
get
it
you
Understood.
folks moving along,
Yep.
that would be, any other input you might have or questions?
No.
Besides the fire, and any other, all right. So,
Move to deem that the proposed changes are substantial.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So that leaves us to the second half of that, is that
What does January look like?
When's our next meeting?
the third Thursday in January?
17th.
January 17th.
Third Thursday.
Is that 30 days from now? That's not 30 days from now.
No, but it depends how,
It could be less than the 30 days. You have, that's your cap
Right.
under the regulations, so if you had a meeting in if you didn't have any meeting in January, and you had to go to a February
we
meeting.
need permission
Wouldn't have
from
time.
you.
Right.
Do we, and we're within the notice, right?
Does that-
Yeah, we're great.
Does that give you guys enough time to get that together, post and do your stuff?
The letters are, things are out of our control in some respects. The fire department place, we can go and
You're not going to hear from the
request all
fire
those.
department, right?
We'll ask, well,
They're not going to respond.
they may.
Mr.
They used
Chairman,
to.
can we schedule it, and if for whatever reason we ask for our continuance?
Yes, that's what,
I think,
Yeah, I
and
think
we
that
can-
makes sense.
Yeah, I don't see, all this other stuff you're asking for is,
stuff you probably already have, you just have to put
Right.
the
I've already.
the numbers
yeah.
together in
That's
in a
correct.
format we can
That is correct.
read.
Yeah.
And that way we get the public notices out, basically.
Public notices that we would have time to do that?
Yes.
So they'd want it,
Anything this week?
The assessors have a lot of new people, and so it's taking longer, but they'll do it within the period of time that we need to send them out. So I guess, do I need to, I must have to collect the money for that again, to get the abutters notices?
Yeah, we can, I'm not quite sure how procedurally how you do it in Scituate. I can go get an abutters notice and get it to you, or we can, then I'll send you the money, and
Okay,
then
it's
you can
not a lot,
request it.
right?
Right, it's like $30, something like that, right?
yeah, so if we at least, that would probably be the first thing to get started from your end. This other information can be gathered and submitted for the meeting. If we could have the information, say, a week before the meeting, or,
And anything that we get, of course, we'll share with you guys.
Yeah,
If
no,
you have
the-
anything, that'd be great, I appreciate it. We'll
and
continue to push.
I assume digital format is preferred from you folks, or you prefer
We want
hard
hard
copies?
No, I can't.
Hard copies, okay.
yeah, that
I
would-
don't mind digital either.
We'll do both.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Extra layer of security.
yeah, but that way we can, there, and
But if the public wants to come in and look at it,
Oh, understood. Some communities, they don't want any paper copies anymore. It's like
Yeah.
all digital.
But you might want to have, again, you might want to have something like this in a larger format, so that we post it up here and, can be seen.
Yes,
You know,
yeah, I
just
had
so-
some, but
Yeah,
I think
that way-
tonight.
Yeah, from that, we didn't need it, but we have that on the board.
How does January look?
We have 4 applications.
This would be the 5th or the 4th?
4 before the continuance? We had a continuance tonight, too,
So that's 6.
so now it's 6.
So it's a late night.
Okay.
the continuance,
dark at
the
4 o'clock
continuance should be
anyway.
either a slam dunk or.
Yeah,
or
a
they-
withdrawal, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
We still
All right.
found out earlier.
The public notice, when do you need that go out?
I'm gonna have leftover lasagna this next week, so I'll just bring some of
14
that.
days, okay.
Thank you.
That's what I mean.
Put it in the freezer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
Hold
half
on.
Italian, so.
there you go. The good
The
half.
deadline for the materials,
I'm gonna have leftover something boiled.
Yes,
obviously, will be what,
Where's your family from?
okay.
Yes.
We'll
Calabria.
rush to get those.
Thanks, Judy.
All right, thank you for your time, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Best to you, Pierre.
And if you guys have any questions.
An extra
you
copy
can
of that?
cer-
Yeah, you want these? You can have this.
I just like the red one, actually.
The red one?
You like that color?
I like red.
New Hampshire, you want to?
Yeah.
No, it's, these are just a little too strong. Yeah, I think thought they'd do well. I think they're too woodsy and more, not really cape or Westgate type feeling. This one's a bit, it has a little bit of, craft.
Do we have a motion to, well, actually, we got. some-
We got business. We got
We got
business.
business.
Oh, that's right. The vote on the reorganization.
You said a déjà vu.
Oh, there you go. That's good.
Oh, yeah.
A
20
bouchard
years,
day.
20 years running.
You won't bury me, I'll be here until it's done.
Good.
There it is.
Good
All
for
right,
you.
we look
They are
forward to seeing you.
persistent.
I'll make a note of it.
I hope the economy don't turn on us again. That
That scares me more.
That's what I'm afraid of.
I hope too.
Believe me.
It will be a new year, so that will be,
Everybody, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas.
Jean Noel.
You too.
Do we need to write a decision? We don't need to write a decision, it's substantial.
no, yeah, that was a decision. I suppose we could make a little blurb.
It's a finding, yeah.
Just on this,
To reorganize, what are the thoughts on that? Because I'm like, oh,
Yeah, what are we doing?
just if we want to, it was on the table.
Anyone want to play chairman? Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah, that was kind of what we were getting at.
I nominate John.
do you no longer want to be chairman?
I don't know whether my days are numbered or not, so.
Well, you would know better than I.
Yes, so, yeah, if we get a new chairman, it might be there, or if you want to wait till
Anthony,
the
do you want to be
Stockbridge,
chairman?
if you want to wait till the Stockbridge meeting and then do it after that,
No,
but
I
I don't
think
know.
we're here now. Let's,
Yeah.
we've got a quorum. Anthony, do you want to be
You
chairman?
would like to relinquish your seat?
Yes, it's been comfortable, but, change is good.
Becoming less
Ed,
comfortable?
any thoughts on you being chair?
Ed, would you like to be chairman?
I'm in my dotage, I think. I may be beyond my capacity to chair anything nowadays.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown, Anthony. What do you think?
I'll be happy to sit as chairman. I think you should do it, but if you want to pass, I'll do it.
It's
Move to make Anthony chair. Do I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. All right.
All right, great.
The weapon of
The torch is passed.
How easy was that?
All right. What do I have to do differently now? Other than sit in the middle? All right.
You write every decision.
A few more emails. That's fine.
You might get a call once in a while, but
Right.
they're pretty limited.
Right. Yeah, really, I try
Yeah.
not to go up.
Just ask for
Was
motions.
there any other, we didn't have any minutes to
Any
discuss.
I get to make less motions, that's...
No,
Yeah.
in January, you'll be getting a lot of minutes.
Okay.
I'm working diligently on it.
Our February meeting, I believe I will be away.
Okay.
I'll be away in
Oh, that's school vacation.
School
I think-
vacation. I'm away both April and February for school
One of the
vacation.
school vacations
April is, I
going
think,
someplace
before our
warm?
meeting. I'm going to Aspen on.
Why am I in February?
Well, I'm gonna be gone too in February.
Gonna hang out with the ghost of...
School vacation.
Going somewhere good?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Where?
Riviera Maya without my kids.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, that's pretty good. We're still recording, right? Sorry, kids.
You didn't tell them already, did you?
Well, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Move to
So
adjourn.
moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.